Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. This is Chris from the Inspired Life podcast. I'm really happy, really joyful this morning. It's raining here. I'm in San Jose, California. This is, I think, maybe only the second rain of this fall season. Really love the rain. And one of my friends said, "Hey, move to Seattle then." I said, "Well, if I lived in Seattle, I wouldn't love the rain because it's always there." So that's kind of what I want to talk about today. And that's if we get the same thing over and over again, like if it's always sunny, you start to take the sun for granted. If it's always raining, you start to not really appreciate the rain. If you get that variety, and specifically in our lives, if we get variety in the form of progression, that's where we really want to be. So I have a quick call-in I want to share with you guys from Martin, and then I want to talk about kind of along the same lines as what Martin's talking about here.
Hey Chris, this is Martin. I just wanted to thank you for leaving a call-in and leaving a gold star on my station. I appreciate it. On your last episode, you talked about getting better every single day. And man, I share the same beliefs as you, man. I think that progress is really the key to a fulfilling life. And what you said about New Year's resolutions, I think that people are just misinformed in a way, and they make these goals that are impractical because they don't measure the progress that they set to get every single week. They don't break down bigger goals to smaller goals, and that's just a big factor in actually achieving those goals. Because if you just blindly say, let's say I want to get fit in next year, but you haven't exercised in the year before, and all of a sudden you want to exercise every single day, but it's going to become a problem. So you have to set the process and slowly build up the habits to get to where you want to go.
Yes, Martin, thank you so much for the call-in. I could not agree more. And I do kind of want to riff on this a little bit because I feel like that's something that, that I encounter every day as a fitness professional. And really, I think that fitness or business or relationships or whatever your goal is really basic if you look at it in a simplified form, which I think helps. If you could explain how you achieve your goals to a third grader, perfect. You're going to get there most likely. So I feel like you just need two things, which is similar to a GPS. You need to know where you are and you need to know where you want to get to. And once you know those two things, it doesn't matter how far apart they are. It really doesn't. Because if let's say, for example, you have a goal, let's just make it really easy to understand. You want to walk from California to New York. It's a pretty long walk. And if you say, I'm going to do it, I'm going to lace up my shoes and I'm going to go. And then at the end of the first day or first week, you're like, oh man, am I ever going to get there? And you're barely, 100 miles in. Now, that would be kind of silly, obviously, but that's, like you were saying, Martin, that's kind of what a lot of people do. And, I'm definitely guilty of this too, so I'm not pointing the fingers at anyone else other than, that's just, I guess, part of being human. But if we were to say, okay, I'm in California, I want to walk to New York. One, why do I want to walk there? Why don't I drive or take a plane, right? But let's just say I have decided on walking. And, well, all right, well, it's about 3,000 miles. Okay, how fast can I walk? How much can I do in a day? How many days is that going to take? How many months is that going to take? And really, really portion that out. Knowing that in, let's say, a month from now, I'm probably not going to be at my goal yet, walking to New York, but I'm going to be closer. So at that time, I'm going to be maybe in, Utah, and I'm going to be in a different spot to be able to reassess my goals and figure out what the best path from there is. And this is a really important distinction too, because once you have started on your path, and let's say hypothetically, I take the wrong road, and after a month of walking, I'm in Oregon, right? I haven't gone east at all. I just went north. And I go, oh man, I'm really discouraged and blah, blah, blah. I could say that, or I could say, all right, well, let's use this as a chance to reassess. Let's turn and go the right direction this time. And again, same exact thing as your real life. If you're going along and you start in the direction of your goal, and then after a little while you realize that you're not any closer, you might even be farther away, that's not the time to beat up on yourself. That's the time to say, okay, well, I got some feedback. I think it was yesterday or the day before I talked about ready, fire, aim. I think it was yesterday. And you don't know if you're necessarily going in the right direction until you try it. So you really need to try something. Now with walking to New York, this is a little bit different because the GPS will tell you, hey dude, you're going the wrong direction. But if you are, if you're trying something that you've never done before, how do you know if going this direction is going to take you north, south, east, or west? You don't know. That's the thing. So really getting your feet wet and just going. So you reassess. And you say, okay, well, my final destination is New York. All right, I'm going north. I need to turn right about 90 degrees, and then I need to walk from here. So the key distinction, I think Tony Robbins is the one that says this. You change your approach. You have that destination in mind, but you say, maybe walking north wasn't the right way to go. I'm going to walk east. I realized I can actually cover more miles each day, so I'm going to up my game, kind of reassessing and going from there. So that is the key to a New Year's resolution, is that you take one step, and that one step can be in the direction of your goals. I mean, literally, if you're doing nothing and then January 1st, you just say, I'm just going to walk a half a mile a day, that's in the direction of your goals. After a month or 2 or 3, you might realize that, hey, this is, I can do more. This is really not happening fast enough. I should be doing more. That doesn't mean that you beat yourself up about walking. That was great that you did that. You just up your game from that point. So step by step, everybody will get to the goal if you just take it step by step. So thanks a lot for listening, guys. I'd love to hear the call-ins. If you want to call in just like Martin did, really appreciate it.
The podcast you just heard was recorded with Anchor. If you want to make your own, download the Android or iOS app completely free from anchor.fm/podcast. That's anchor.fm/podcast.